Alright, so welcome back to another video, and what we're doing is continuing with the tentacles, and so we need to work on this one. So if you take a look at the image here, you can see the tentacle as it comes down, it curves around, goes back up, and it appears like in front of the body. And so here, as you can see, it goes inside the body. So all we need to do basically is move this tentacle in a way that this part of it kind of comes in front. Now, one way is to just basically spin it around and I guess move it forward kind of like that, as you can see, but it's still stuck inside. And so what we can do is just grab some of these vertices basically, so these top ones, and coming all the way down to about here, I guess, and we can just push it out like that. There you go, that's one way of doing it, and we just need to kind of fix this basically, just straighten it out, make it look a bit better, kind of. Let's just see what it looks like from the side view. There we go, we can just kind of something like this. There we go, that's not too bad. And I guess we can grab these vertices here, DV middle mouse, snap the pivot to this vertex, and we can actually just bring it in a little bit. So as we push it out, we can just rotate it there, so it kind of leans in a little bit, and it's a bit curvy here, so we can actually just increase the quality of the curve by just doing a bit of basic modeling here by just pushing some of these curves out, maybe a bit more around here. Let's have a look. Yeah, I guess that's fine. There we go. And we can play around with it more later as well. Maybe just bring this in a bit closer to the body. Maybe just spin it around at an angle like this. Who knows? Kind of just, yeah. Or maybe not. I guess this seems pretty fine. Something like that. Let's have a look. That doesn't look too bad. There we go. So we can just play around with this for now, and let's just see what we get. So it's this tentacle, and we need to make a copy of the cylinder. Control D. There we go. So we've got a copy of the cylinder, this curve here. Let's isolate, select it, and see what we can do. Again, remember DV middle mouse, boom. So we've placed the cylinder in the strategic position there, and then hold down C middle mouse, boom. There we go. And there we have it. I believe this does seem alright. There's a curve, last minute alterations. There we go. Maybe bring that out a bit more. There we go. Bend that out a bit more. Maybe DV middle mouse snap there. Maybe just rotate that inwards a bit. Yeah, why not? So it just looks a bit more interesting. And let's take a look. That seems fine. Yep, seems fine. Alright. Let's have a look at this bit here. Just lift it up a little bit. Right, okay, so I think we're ready for action, and we need to select these bottom faces just like before, and then the curve itself, and hit extrude. Now, one thing we didn't do was we didn't rebuild the curve like we did with the others, but let's see if it matters or not. Yeah, this looks a bit crazy actually. Look at that. Maybe it does matter. Yeah, because we've got hardly any. Let's just take a quick look at where our CV points are. Yeah. Yeesh. Alright. Control Z. It doesn't look too good. Let's just quickly rebuild the curve. Now, it says 20 on there, so we can do 20. We can do even more, actually. But let's take a look. Curves, rebuild. Let's do 30. Boom. And so there you go. We've got more resolution. And you can see it here. Attribute editor, 30 curves. Not 30 curves, 30 spans. 30 curves would be just like crazy. Right, okay, so there we go. Boom, boom. And then let's do the divisions. There you go. We've got a bit better result. Again, you know, we're going to have to do this manually. We can go to the taper, just bring it in. There you go. That's a bit too much, actually. Maybe like that. I mean, it's really ugly and messy at the minute, so we're going to have to clean this out. Delete history, and let's get rid of the curve. Let's get rid of this bit here because we're going to rebuild this. So there we go. And we don't need these faces at the top. Alright, let's take a look at what we got. And so this needs to curve around. Alright, so just like before, what we can do is double click on the multi-cut, switch on edge flow, and just add some geometry. There we go. So it creates a better curve. Yeah. Alright. So I've just deleted history, Control S, save the scene. And let's just work on this bit here. So I'm going to grab these vertices here and let's take a look, and we can actually just we'll deal with the size later. Let's actually finish it off. So I've double selected the one edge and it's highlighted the entire edge loop, and hit extrude, and we just kind of need to move this out around here basically, also at this point here. Now this geometry is actually getting in the way and it's bugging me, so Control H, boom, it's gone. And also the other whatchamacallit, tentacles, and so let's select them just to get them out of the way. There we go. So it's just this. Alright, okie doke. And so I'm gonna just delete this and start it again. There we go. Right, and so before we do that, I'm actually going to turn this around now. There we go. And bring it across there. And I'm actually going to shrink it a little bit. And also here, these need shrinking a little bit. And just kind of bring them down a little bit. Also here, just kind of bring them down a little bit. So that does look a bit better. There we go. Okay, so we are getting there now. And so F to frame up on this bit, and so what we want to do is go into edge mode, double click, and then hit extrude, W for move, and let's just move it up here, and we're going to spin it round, and again just shrink it a little bit, and so extrude, W, and again here, shrink it even more, and just rotate it, and again extrude, W, and again this bit here needs rotating, just bring it down a little bit like that, and extrude, W here, needs rotating, and extrude, W, and move it here, and just kind of shrink it a little bit more, and I would say that's about it. There we go, and then hit extrude again, R for scale in like that, and mesh, fill hole, and again double click on this. Make sure edge flow switched off in this case, because all we want to do is just terminate these edges and add some more resolution here. And so what we can do now is just grab these two vertices, hit B for soft select, and so what we want is for the pivot to go in the same direction as the geometry. Now the pivot is facing this way and the geometry is facing that way, so what we can do is hold down D and select a face, and you can see the word align just under the cursor. Click, and as you can see, the pivot now aligns with the direction of the geometry, so we can pull this forward, but it's too big. Alright, so B, and just shrink it, shrink the size about here. Now let's pull it, keep pulling. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, still too big. And let's make it even smaller. There we go. We have a result. So switch off B, select all these vertices, not these ones here, on the rest of the tentacle. Hit 4 to make sure you haven't accidentally selected any vertices you shouldn't have. And again, we want the pivot to go in the same direction as the geometry. At the minute it's not. You see the pivot is facing in this direction and that direction, and then this and that, and we want it to go in this direction. So D, and let's select this edge here. Boom. And you can see the pivot is aligned with the direction of the geometry, and so we can just lift the geometry back up. Deselect again. D, let's select this edge here to align the pivot, and let's just bring it in. And there you go. Let's deselect. Oops, I wanted to just deselect these vertices here. Yeah, and again, select this edge to align the pivot with the direction of the geometry, and let's just bring it in. And that should be fine. Right, okay, good. So obviously the next thing we need to do is double click on the multi-cut and add some resolution. And because the edge flow switched on, it will respect the edge flow, as you can see there. Now we're getting some better curves. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe one here as well. And again, before we're going to add more, I don't like the fact that these edges look a bit crooked. So I'm just going to spin them around. And again, you look at the rotate tool. It's it's pointing this direction, that direction, and the geometry is in this direction. So we've got to align it. So again, D, let's select this edge there. There we go. So we've got better alignment, and I want to just move this. There we go. Edge. So it looks a bit better. Same with this. Let's align it with this face here. So D, click on that face, and there we go. And this looks terrible, but what we need is more geometry anyway. So let's double click on the multi-cut. Edge flow is switched on, and boom, boom. Alright, okay, so I think we've got enough geometry to play around with. Tons and tons of history. Delete it, Control S, save your scene. And now let's bust out the trusty Edit Edge Flow tool. And this is a lifesaver. So, boom, boom. There we go. So it's smoothing off the entire model here, the tentacle model, giving us a much better edge flow, much smoother. And it's equalizing the spaces between the edge loops as well. So there we go. So you get a much better looking model. There we go. Just one more time, just so it kind of smooths this area out a bit better. As you can see, it's a bit bunched up here, the geometry, so it's kind of just distancing the edge loops in a more equal dispersion. So there we go. And there you go. Let's hit 3. Let's take a look. Not bad, not bad. This seems a bit weird, but I think it's okay actually. I'm kind of following. Yeah, okay. The only other thing is it's a bit too thin here actually. But another thing is it's not touching the ground. And so we want it to touch the ground. So let's select these vertices. Hit B. I'm going to make the brush size much bigger. Much bigger. Alright, and let's just bring it down, and there we go. It's now touching the ground, as you can see. So that's better. And it kind of looks a bit wonky around here. And so, before we do more edit edge for a look at all that history, let's delete it. Right, okay, so there we go. And the problem is you want to be careful because when you do the edit edge flow, as you can see, it kind of shrinks. And so now, if we hit 3, it's kind of just off from the ground. So you've got to be careful with that. So let's hit B and let's just bring it back down a little bit. There we go. Alright. That doesn't look too bad now. It looks fine. Edit edge flow. Yeah, I'll do. Alright. Let's delete history there. Let's hit 3. And let's make sure the tentacle is touching the ground. It is. And display show all. There you go. Now I might want to just bring this bit back a bit, and so like I said with these tentacles as well, we're going to position them properly once we've finished doing all the tentacles. So that's the third tentacle done, and yeah, we're kind of getting there. Look at that with his smug grin. He's a smug one, isn't he? Right, anyway, so Control S, save your scene. I will see you next video.